Well, good evening and welcome to the Coach McVay Show presented by Microsoft Surface. The Rams are 5-5, coming home for Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm JB Long with the head coach of your Los Angeles Rams, and it's good to welcome back to the program our Super Bowl champion, D'Marco Farr.
On Victory Monday.
Yeah,
Thank you, Coach. Yes, sir. Hey, man, what's happening? I miss you guys. Miss being here.
I miss you too.
Yeah. You guys have gotten intimate and talking without me now.
Yeah, well, it's glad to have the original crew back together.
Awesome. See?
Coming off that win and maybe the best offensive day of the season in New England. That was a high-level quarterback play, really, for both teams. That was fun to watch.
It was. It was fun to watch Matthew. I was impressed with Drake May, though. I mean, Matthew was outstanding. I thought really guys played well around him. He elevates people around him all the time, and there was a lot of things that were in alignment of going in the direction that we need to go for us to be the offense that we're capable of. And we talked a little bit about it before we started. We need to be able to have some continuity, and hopefully we can build on this. And obviously we got a great challenge, Sunday Night Football against the Eagles, who are rolling coming in here. But I thought Matthew led the way. I thought guys made plays. I thought the offensive line was pretty productive in both phases. There's always going to be learning opportunities. And, man, I was really impressed with Drake May, a young player that showed a lot of stuff. He had done that. He had been trending in the right direction. You see the athleticism, you see the size, but the ability to deliver the ball on time. When his back foot hit, he'd stare down the gun barrel on a couple of the pressures that we brought, and it looks like they've got a really good one. It was impressed seeing him up close and personal in person and what he was able to do. I thought he played a really good game yesterday.
We were talking, any indecision, he gets smacked in the mouth. He got the ball out. Big respect. But Stafford, I don't think I've seen that many quarterbacks throw back-to-back touchdown passes on two straight passes. One to Cup, and then the next one to Super Puke-A.
Yeah.
Amazing shot.
Yeah, no, it was a big day for him, and I thought he maximized his opportunities. It was weird because we had so few offensive plays in general, and they did a good job being able to possess the football. And then really after the first two drives where we ended up not converting on third downs that we should be able to convert, I didn't think the guys were fazed by that. And then they ended up stringing together scoring drives, and you end up being able to say, all right, it's a 9-play scoring drive. Then you end up making a sudden change. Great job by Fisk. Cobie Turner recovers the fumble. You hit Puke-A for the touchdown. And then I was really pleased with the 2-minute drive. I thought it was excellent at the end of the half. Maybe even had an opportunity to be able to finish it with a touchdown, but to be able to start where we did, for those guys to be able to take the ball down the field, good little mix of some different things. Matthew kept the ball in play and had our opportunities, and then we wanted to come away with points. We didn't. And then, like you had mentioned, you come out the second drive or the first drive of the second half, you end up, second play hitting Cooper Kupp on a long touchdown, but Matthew was on it. And I thought we had some opportunities to really close out the game where our defense didn't have to go back out on the field. And that's what's the best part about it is guys are like, oh, man, like they know it was a step in the right direction, but they know that there's still more meat on the bone. And, but it was an overall positive step, and Matthew certainly led the way.
I know faster starts would be ideal. You don't want to be coming away shut out in the first quarter. But
Yeah.
I wonder if I make too big a deal out of that, because it's always seemed to me watching you like your information gathering in those first couple of possessions that bears fruit in the second quarter.
Yeah, I like that. That's a half glass full approach. Here's what I would say. We need to convert on third down. I mean, like it's as simple as that. I mean, we had an opportunity, got the looks that we wanted on both of those, and we got to make those plays. We got to be able to handle some of the movement, and we got to throw and catch, and we're capable of doing that. And I won't apologize for the expectations that I have for those guys. What I do know is that football is not a perfect game. You look at it and you can play really well, and there's always going to be a couple plays that you want back. So hey, let's give ourselves some grace, but let's also expect to say, people want to make a big deal about starting fast. No, we need to consistently execute. That's what will lead to starting fast. When we've done that in the games that we have, we've executed the way that we're capable of, and guys have done a nice job with the opportunities that they've had. Now, is there certainly some times where I look at myself and say, you got to put these guys in better spots? Of course, we're all in this thing together. But when you look at the third drive and you string together, a 9-play scoring drive, that was in alignment with what we want. And really the first two that resulted in us having to punt the ball away, you get an explosive on the second play of the game to Puke-A, and then you end up, having a third down and manageable, and you just miss a connection between those two guys. Those guys are very much in rhythm, and we just missed it. And then on the next one, we have an explosive run, get to another third down, similar kind of distance, and, get a look, and had to get it out a little bit earlier, but, you got it. And those are opportunities that I believe we'll be able to hit more times than not moving forward. And if we convert those, then we're saying maybe we did start fast. So I think sometimes it's as simple as consistently executing, not making it a bigger deal, but also being able to respond the way we wanted, and that's exactly what they did.
Closing out games and learning how to close out games. It could be guys keeping their cool. It could be kicking field goals, what have you. Learning to close out games this season. What's that journey been like for you?
Yeah, I think it's been a learning op, and I think it's a collaboration of all of us, D'Marco. And yesterday, what a cool opportunity to be able to learn without having the hard lessons of not getting the results you want. Mm-hmm. There was some opportunities in that game where I thought our defense really started to get a real good grasp of that game, and then they extended a drive that they shouldn't have because of a penalty. And it wasn't anything malicious. It was just something we can learn from. You can't yank somebody off the pile. And that ended up extending the drive. And then you have an inadvertent face mask. And you just have some things that are just uncharacteristic, but they responded. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about when the offense gets the ball, I was really pleased with, the drive that Matthew and the offense put together. You get an unfortunate batted ball on a play that Demarcus Robinson's going to have a lot of space to be able to run, but then you hit Cooper for 4. Now you get to a 3rd down and 6, and you've got a look that we want with a really good matchup, and we just didn't end up making that. And then you have a decision to make. Do you kick the field goal or do you try to punt it away deep? And those are tough decisions. I do have confidence that Josh will respond in that group, but in that moment felt like it was best to be able to punt it deep. But it didn't need to get to that point. Mm-hmm. But I'm pleased with Kam Kinchens and our defense being able to make the stop, and then watching the offense be able to kneel it out. But there's a lot of really cool opportunities. I do believe you have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to close out games. And I think we're learning, especially when you talk about where we were at the bye, what we've done since. Has it been perfect? No. Are there opportunities for us to not make it as entertaining for people watching at home? There are, but this is about continuing to grow, continuing to learn together collectively, especially with the amount of youth that we do have on this football team and the amount of moving parts. And I am grateful for that.
Let's go back to the start of the week, or maybe the start of the day. I wonder how to go with Jonah Jackson and the tough decision you had to make with how to put your offensive line in order for that moment in time with Bo Limmer, your rookie center, coming back.
Yeah, he's a pro in every sense of the word, JB. And so you explain, we're going to do what we think is best for the upcoming week. That's what I felt like my role is as a head coach. And I think, in fairness to Jonah, this is a guy that's a total stud, has a great body of work, great resume. He hasn't had a chance to really play football in the last year.
Right.
And so it's our job to put him in positions to be able to be successful. It wasn't like he had a training camp or an off season and got hurt. He really didn't have any of those things. And then you thrust him back into the mix with a couple, like a week before the Detroit game. And then he gets hurt against Arizona. And then there's all this time that passes where, you're rehabbing and you're training, but you can't ever really simulate and mimic and emulate game-like movements and situations from an offensive line perspective, not to mention the importance of playing alongside a center, a guard, a tackle, wherever you're located. And so that was what we felt like was best. But he is going to continue to improve. He's going to continue to, do a great job of being able to handle whatever is best for this team. And I respect the heck out of just the professionalism and what a man he is about a unique situation that is really very rare to anything I've experienced before.
I know that was hard. That had to be a tough one. But you got to do it. And I hope it was hard. I hope we didn't say, just give my job away.
No, heck no.
Yeah,
I think what you explained too is this is what we think is best. Yeah. And we'll continue to always evaluate that. We do have practice opportunities to continue to monitor and evaluate what does it look like, as it relates to this week. And so I just want to see guys continue to improve, continue to understand, all right, here's the vision that we have, but also if you're in a situation or a circumstance that you don't like, these things are never final and they're never finite.
And a lot of football left. So you watch the other side of the ball when you're getting ready, and I'm glad you mentioned Fisk and Turner.
Yeah.
As far as defensive tackles go, that might be the two most active guys I've seen as far as pinballing and making plays.
They're doing a great job, and I think really the front as a whole is understanding how to play off of one another. They're really starting to understand the intent of some of the things that we're trying to get done. And you got some movable pieces with our edge players. You mentioned those two. I've been really pleased with Tyler Davis. I think he's done a good job of continuing to make his presence felt. Bobby Brown has made his impact, and I think Gift Smith does such a tremendous job with that group as a whole. But those two guys have led the way, and I agree with what you're saying.
Michael Hoecht is a baller. Go ahead.
He is a baller.
Yeah.
Not just on defense. How about teams? Like that blocked extra point was
Huge.
huge in terms of how the rest of that game
It was
played out.
huge. I mean, that was so big. And he's got a knack. You know, certain guys, it's kind of like Corey Littleton did back in the
Sure.
day in terms of blocking punts. Certain guys have a knack for being able to just have a feel for those types of things. And, you know, Michael Hoecht he's been a baller. Love he's had such a good positive influence on a lot of these young guys. And he's so smart. He's got such a versatile skill set. But what a huge play it was blocking the extra point. I mean, and then, hey, Roseman, just get down, right? You know, no, I'm kidding. I thought he was going to maybe come around the edge and get going.
That's kind of how you framed it, D'Marco.
Yeah.
Like not a C on his chest captain, but like an emotional heartbeat.
Emotional leader. Yeah, man. Just what he brings, you can tell they look to him, and he is not afraid about shouting his encouragement. You know what I mean? I respect that. Yeah.
Leadership is about influence, and you're not a leader if you can't influence, and if you can't influence, people won't follow you. He influences his teammates in a positive way.
You know, external services had that as like Kam Kinchen's best grade of the season. Aside from the game clincher, what else did he do that made that true in your estimation?
I just think the way that, you know, you could see he played at a different speed than a lot of guys, you know, and I thought, you know, some of the open field tackles that he made, he's got great range. That was one of the things that you loved about him in Miami, Florida. You could just see this was a guy that knew he was a magnet to the ball, but he took smart angles, and then he could really long stride, short stride, shuffle, shoot, make some of those open field tackles, and he's violent on arrival. There's guys, the best way I could articulate it, you feel certain guys on the defense. You felt him yesterday. He made his impact. He made his presence. He's got a knack for being in the right spots, and there were some times where he overlapped and made some good plays in coverage that shows his increased understanding. And I just think the way he's tackling, the way that he's making, he's doing a good job of being able to understand where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be there, and then he's capitalizing on his opportunities. If he gets his hands on the ball, he's catching it.
Cobie Durant, same thing. Are my eyes telling me he's getting better?
He's getting better. He's doing a great job. You know, he got a little banged up where he came out, played a little over 40 snaps. Aubrey does such a great job, but he's getting more and more confident, more and more comfortable. He's a stud. Been really pleased with the trajectory that Cobie Durant is headed on.
And you came out healthy from that game, I heard.
We did, yeah. That's a positive. You know, really, we'll see where some of those other guys are at as it relates to Havenstein and Noteboom this week. But for us to come out healthy, that's a big deal.
See, I know him. He's starting to think about the Eagles right now. See?
Getting there.
See?
Right now, how about that 6-hour flight home? I'm sure you did some of that.
That was a quick flight back. Huh?
Wasn't it?
Oh, my God.
What kind of headwinds were we running
my
into there?
gosh.
Going back,
It's like is that just such a, you're like, man, I'm glad we won, and then, all right, hey, we got 6 hours until we win. You gotta be kidding me.
thinking about the conversation you guys just had about Jonah Jackson, I feel a parallel there with Colby Parkinson, right?
Yeah.
Like original design, where it went first month of the season, to see him pay it off with a gorgeous touchdown yesterday had to be rewarding.
That was great, and I think Kaylee's done a great job of really getting all three of those guys going and continuing to identify what are the roles that they can really fill to be able to help the team best, whether that be an 11, 12 personnel. But Colby, I've been so proud of him in terms of just the way that he's handled things. He's shown improvement. Not a whole lot of snaps we had as a whole offensively, but I thought he contributed well in both phases. And then to be able to make that catch, what a throw and catch by he and Matthew right there. It was a big time play, huge opportunity. And, and then I thought he did some really good things in the run game that led to positive plays that we had to have and that we need to continue to have for our offense to be, what we hope we can be.
Davis Allen's pretty physical too.
He is.
Throw his body around.
He will. All three of those guys will, and I think that's a reflection of their coach. The reflection of the understanding of what we're trying to really get done, and I think they're only going to get better. But both Davis and then I thought Hunter had some really good positive snaps yesterday as well.
I feel like it's probably more necessity than choice, but you've been really willing to substitute and not necessarily slow down. Like I know you've always enjoyed being regulated so that you can control what the defense is doing as much as going fast. But how has that felt on offense this year, shuffling receivers and tight ends?
Well, it's what's best for this group, and it is. This year's been a very different approach than what we're accustomed to, and you got to learn, you got to be able to adjust and adapt, and that's for a variety of reasons that we could sit here all day and talk about. But our job is to figure out what we think is best for this current group, the current circumstances that we're placed with, and I think what's been good is that the very similar to what I feel about this team, and I think it's really been on display with our defense. I think you're starting to see it be on display with our offense. Everybody's got a role, and everybody understands that role is important, and how they can contribute to achieving and obtaining the outcome that we're hunting up week in and week out, and how important those things are for us to be able to maximize the 48 that are up on game day or the 53 on the active roster if there's a practice squad flex up. And so I think that's what's been good. I think there's a strength in that unit, and I think that's what's the best approach that is very different than some previous years. And that's been, challenging and also very rewarding at the same time. But I think that's what's best, and I think our coaches have done a good job of being able to have an open mind, and then the players have really embraced it. And I think you're starting to see some of the fruits of that show up over the last couple weeks.
I got one question.
Yeah.
I need a coaching point. So if I'm Quentin Lake,
Yeah.
and I'm coming up, you need
I'm
to tell
with
me
you.
how to play that.
That's the exact dialogue, and I think Sean Smith and his crew do such a great job. I want to get clarity from the league office because I understand you can't take on those guys in the screen game and on the perimeter, low. But if it's a simultaneous act where you're making the tackle and you happen to engage with that lineman that's out in front at the same time. What we need to understand is how can we coach it so that we can avoid those types of things, because I don't know that I would have done anything different if I was in Q's shoes. I thought he made a great play, but our job is to be able to educate, provide clarity for them so then they can be able to go execute based on whatever the ways that these guys are being coached to officiate it in some of those bang situations.
You made the play.
It's tough.
It's
it was an incredible play. It may
was a
not
great
have been
play.
legal,
Yes.
but it was.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think there are some semantics, because all these rules are, with the intent of improving the safety of the game,
Totally.
right? And so I think there's been a good flexibility from the league, but what we need to understand is, all right, when those things do occur, because they do arise sometimes where those guys are basically right on top of each other, and when you have to make split-second decisions, and every yard matters, especially when you're in that part of the field, how can we best defend that to try to limit their ability to score points and get into the end zone?
Total left turn here, but I had Puke-A for 7 catches, all went for either a first down or a touchdown. But my question is, have you ever coached a player who pukes as much as Puke-A?
No, I have not. He is one of one, and that's how you know he's in good shape, actually.
Pukes and rallies, though, most
He
importantly.
does. He's a puke and rally guy. It is. That was a hell of a catch, though, wasn't it? You puke all you want, you make plays like that.
Do you see the photos of that with
I don't
the
know if
afternoon sunlight?
Wait till you see this shot.
You're going to have one on
my
your wall
God.
someday. It's going to be out here in the facility. It is a thing of beauty.
It was
best
an
ever.
incredible catch. Incredible.
Ball
Beat him up pretty good.
flair
man.
for the dramatic, doesn't he?
He does. He does.
Yes. Amazing.
But
I
he's
called
the
him
man.
Lazarus. Yeah, and he's so physical. There was one on the sideline where he caught and turned up on the corner and ran him over.
Yeah.
I'm like, they may call you for that.
No, he brings an element of
Yeah.
toughness, physicality to our offense, and he's got a play energy that kind of elevates people around him, and you love him when he's exactly what you're looking for.
Can we get one spike out of Cooper though? Just one? It was pretty. I get it.
He's been there, man. Third all time in touchdown receptions now for the Rams. He says, act
Well,
like
hand
you've
it
been
to
there
Steve.
before.
Let him spike it. Come on.
Hey, tell him that, not me.
Don't you think that's pretty cool since you played with the other two, Isaac and Torrey, that are
You
ahead
said
of him?
it during the game, and I saw the room. Just those 3 guys.
What is it actually?
Isaac, Torrey, Cooper. He
Right.
goes past Crazy Legs.
Where are
Hirsch.
they at?
They're a ways ahead.
What
of him.
what are the numbers for them?
I'm not
He's
sure.
he's in the 50s. They're in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay, he's got a ways, but to be
Those
in
guys
the
are
room
unbelievable,
with
aren't they?
those guys.
Heck yeah.
To be
When you're
yeah.
mentioned among 2 legends like that, you're doing a lot
And it
of things right.
accentuates the point that Torrey's got to be in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
Agreed.
too. On the end of that is the play that you called for the most part. So take some
Players
credit.
bring it to life. Don't get me. I had nothing to do with
Come
that.
on.
Those players. They bring it all. They bring it to life.
I know the red zone gets the attention, and yeah, except for that short clock situation at the end of the half, you punch those in. But the explosives have to be such a relief, right? Finishing drives is one thing, but when you can score them from 69 yards out,
It's big. And really, you look at it. Those have become as important as turnovers. When you look at the stats that matter, I'm not a big stats guy. It's about how do we find ways to try to achieve the result that we're hunting up. But if you say, in the NFL, the two stats outside of points that are as reflective of anything week in and week out of coming away with the results you want, it's the turnovers and it's the explosive plays. Because it's too hard to sustain drives, and you got to be able to find ways to do that. And yesterday was certainly a step in the right direction. And you guys know, when we've been, when we've been good and we've been one of the upper echelon offenses, that is a consistent theme that you'll see. And you look at any good offense around the league and you'll say, what's one of the things that they're doing? And they're creating explosive plays via the run of the pass is what you're going to probably be saying about them.
I think I heard today that they thought you were conservative. This sounds like the opposite of. Like, you're trying to hit it. I want to take the top off the defense when I can.
What? Say that again?
Some people call you conservative now. I'm like, conservative?
No. In regards to what? What? Because I punted it at the end?
No, not that. Just play calling. Like, he's gone conservative. He's really gone tight to the vest.
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I think that's just the way the game is going.
Hey, listen, whatever people say, that's fair.
Yeah.
Our job is to be productive. And certainly I would like to think that, when we're at our best and if we're doing what we are, conservative is never a word that I would never ever want to be described as. But there's been instances that people have, I'm not naive to the criticism that is probably well-deserved when we're not producing at the level that we're accustomed to. And that's not something that I'm afraid to run away from, but I'm excited to see if we can attack it head on for these 7 we're guaranteed left.
See, I want to say that perfectly tomorrow, just like that.
Oh, yeah. Especially starting Sunday night. I mean,
Yes.
You want to be a team that plays into January. These are the types of moments against these types of opponents, right? That's what you sign up for.
That's exactly right. As a competitor, no doubt.
Rams are 5-5, and I feel like you still haven't played your best game yet. There's been glimpses of it that you've talked about, but to win a game like this, it probably takes 4 quarters of all 3 phases, Sean.
It does, and there's a lot of bright spots within each, and sometimes the good teams, you have to be able to pick each other up, And if you can really start to say, all right, what does complementary ball look like when you really put it all together at the right time? That's those complete games. But man, the enemy has a say, and so you got respect and appreciation for how difficult this league is week in and week out, and the different challenges that arise on a week-to-week basis. But here we go this week. What an opportunity if you're wired the right way as a competitor, and you got a team that's as good as anybody coming in to your home stadium on Sunday Night Football. Let's see if we can go prepare and go be at our best when our best is definitely going to be required.
Oh yeah, they got to play you too. Yeah, it's not all about them.
Can I ask just one football Rolodex type of thing? I love the through line from the Rams, but also just the NFL, the Vic Fangio line from Chicago 18 to Brandon Staley, permeating the NFL, how you tweak your running game. Now here it is, another matchup. How does that land on you and what it's meant to this season of Rams football in the NFL?
Well, I think he's a great coach. I know what they've done. I'll get ready to really dive into them, seeing them from afar. But, you look at all the things that you're looking for in a coach, putting players in a position to succeed, having an understanding of being able to limit some of the things that you want to try to stop from an offensive perspective and a clear-cut philosophy and an identity. That's what I see his defenses always play with. I think he's got a great feel for the flow of the game. I think he's got a great feel for how to be able to utilize his personnel. And so, again, looking forward to the challenge. He's a heck of a coach, and all the good comments and compliments that accompany, what he's done in this league for a long time are very well earned and deserved. And we're going to give it our best shot to see if we can challenge these guys.
We're dreaming. We're still on the plane. We haven't landed yet.
There you go.
We're over Nova Scotia right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Any excuse to show the Saquon reverse hurdle?
No,
Wanna talk
come
about
on,
that
man.
or anything?
Respect for him.
Yeah, he's a stud.
You're a football fan as well as a competitor. You like to see the best, and you like to beat the best team. So I can't wait to see these guys come to town. Can't wait to see them get beat, too. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait to be there on Sunday Night Football. Under the lights at SoFi Stadium for Sean McVay. Great to have D'Marco Farr back. I'm JB Long. The Coach McVay Show is always presented by Microsoft Surface.